Since I returned to the right fruit, I became the protector of the Tang monk, honoring him as my teacher and sustaining unspeakable hardships on our journey. The moment we arrived at the Lion Camel city of the Lion Camel Mountain, 3 vicious demons, they a Lion King, an Elephant King, and a great rock, had my master captured. Even your disciple became their prisoner, and we were all bound inside a steamer to suffer the affliction of water and fire. Fortunately, your disciple managed to escape and call up the Dragon King for assistance. That night we stole out with Master, but, unable to shake loose from the Star of Calamity, we were taken prisoners again. By morning, when I stole into the city to try to get some news, I learned that these vicious demons had devoured my master alive during the night. Not a single piece of his flesh or bone was left behind. I saw only my younger brothers Wu Neng and Wu Jing, who were bound there also. They too will soon lose their lives, I suppose. Your disciple had no choice but to come here to plead with Tathagata. I beg you in your great compassion to recite the loose fillet spell and take off this band from my head. It will be returned to Tathagata, and your disciple will be released once more to frolic on the Flower Fruit Mountain. Hardly had he finished speaking when his tears streamed forth, as he sobbed uncontrollably. "Wukong?" said Tathagata with a smile. "Don't be so sad. You are hurting because one of those monster spirits has vast magic powers and you can't prevail against him." Kneeling beneath Buddha's throne and pounding his chest, Pilgrim said, "To tell you the truth, this disciple in years past brought great disturbance to the celestial palace and assumed the name of Great Sage. Since I acquired the way of humanity, I have never suffered loss, but this time I'm the victim of this vicious demon." On hearing this, Tathagata said, "Cease your anguish. I do recognize that monster spirit." All at once Pilgrim blurted out, "Tathagata, I have heard people say that that monster spirit is related to you." "This insolent ape," said Tathagata. "How could a monster spirit be related to me?" "If not," replied Pilgrim with a laugh, "how could you recognize him?" "By my eyes of wisdom," said Tathagata. "That's how I recognize all 3 of them. The old fiend and the second fiend both have their proper masters. Ananta and Kasyapa, come. The 2 of you will mount the clouds and go your separate ways to mount 5 platforms and Mount Ame. Summon Manjusri and Vivabhadra to come for an audience." The 2 honored ones departed at once with the decree. "Manjusri and Vivabhadra," said Tathagata, "are the proper masters of those 2 fiends? But now that you mention it, the 3rd fiend is indeed somewhat related to me." "On the paternal party?" asked Pilgrim. "Or the maternal one?" Tathagata said. "At the time when chaos parted, heaven opened at the epoch of Zi, earth developed at the epoch of Cho, and man came into existence at the epoch of Yin. When heaven and earth mated, then myriad things were born. The myriad things consisted of beasts and fowl. Of the beasts, the unicorn was the head, and the phoenix was the head of the fowl. After having been fertilized by the aura of procreation, the phoenix also gave birth to the peacock and the great rock. When the peacock first came into the world, it was a most savage creature, able to devour humans. In fact, it could suck in a human being with one breath from a distance of some 40 miles. I was on top of the snow mountain, having just perfected my 16-foot diamond body, when the peacock sucked me into his stomach. I could have escaped through his anal passage, but fearing that my body might be defiled, I cut my way out through his back and rode him back to the spirit mountain. I was about to take his life, but the various Buddhas stopped me with the observation that to hurt the peacock would be like hurting my own mother. That was why I detained him at the mountain instead and appointed him Buddha Mother, the Bodhisattva Maharaja Mayura. Since the great rock had the same parent as the peacock, it could be said that he was somewhat related to me." On hearing this, Pilgrim said with a smile, "Tathagata, according to what you've told me, you should be regarded as the nephew of that monster spirit. Only my presence, I fear, will bring that fiend to submission," said Tathagata. Touching his head to the ground, Pilgrim said, I beg you to make this journey at once." Tathagata left the lotus throne and went out of the monastery gate with the rest of the Buddhas. There they saw Ananda and Kasyapa leading Manjusri and Vibhabhadra on their way to the monastery also. As the two bodhisattvas bowed to him, Tathagata asked, "How long have your beasts of burden been gone from your mountains?" 7 days, replied Manjusri. 7 days in the mountain, said Tathagata, are equivalent to several thousand years on earth. I wonder how many lives they have taken down there. You must follow me quickly if we are to retrieve them. With one bodhisattva standing on each side of him, the Buddha and his followers rose into the air. You see auspicious clouds adrift in all the sky. As Buddha in mercy his wisdom doth ply, he shows forth heaven's law of procreation, explaining earth's patterned transformation. Before his face 500 arhats stand. Behind 3,000 guardians form a band. Ananda, Kasyapa follow left and right. Man and Viva the monstrous fiends will smite. It was as a peculiar favor granted him that the great sage succeeded in eliciting the assistance of the Buddhist patriarch and his followers. In a little while, they caught sight of the city. Tathagata, said Pilgrim, the spot releasing black vapors over there is the Lion Camel Kingdom. Go down first, said Tathagata, and provoke battle with those monster spirits. You are permitted to lose but not to win. When you retreat back here, I'll bring them to submission. The great sage lowered his cloud and landed on the city wall. His feet planted on the merlons of the battlement, he shouted, "Damned lawless beasts! Come out quickly to fight with Old Monkey." Those little fiends standing on the rampart were so terrified that they dashed down to report. Great kings, Pilgrim's son is provoking battle on the battlement. This ape hasn't shown himself for about 2 days, said the old fiend. If he returns to provoke battle this morning, could it be that he has succeeded in getting some help? We're not afraid of whatever help he has gotten, are we? Said the third demon. Let's all go and have a look. Each grasping his weapon, the 3 demon chiefs rushed up to the battlement. When they saw Pilgrim, they raised their arms without a word and attacked. Pilgrim wielded his iron rod to meet them. After 7 or 8 rounds, however, he feigned defeat and fled, with the fiend kings all roaring. Where are you going? The great sage shot up to mid-air with one somersault, but those 3 spirits all mounted the clouds to give chase. Immediately Pilgrim hurled himself into the golden radiance of Father Buddha and vanished from sight. What did appear were the 3 images of Buddha, past, present, and future, together with 500 arhats and 3,000 guardians, who fanned out on all sides. They had the 3 fiend kings surrounded so tightly that not even water could have seeped through. Brothers, it's bad, cried the old demon, completely unnerved. This monkey is truly a devil in the earth. How did he manage to bring our masters here? Don't be frightened, big brother, said the third demon. We'll all go forward together and use our weapons to cut down that Tathagata and take over his Thunderclap Treasure Monastery. Not knowing any better, our demon chief accordingly charged forward and tried to attack madly with his scimitar. Manjusri and Vibhabhadra, after quickly reciting a magic spell, shouted in unison, "If these cursed beasts do not submit now, are they waiting for another incarnation?" The old fiend and the second fiend were so terror-stricken that they dared not struggle any longer. Dropping their weapons, they rolled over once and changed back into their original forms. The 2 bodhisattvas tossed 2 lotus thrones onto their backs and then leapt up to take their seats on top. In this way, the 2 fiends lowered their ears and submitted. Since the 2 bodhisattvas had thus subdued the green lion and the white elephant, only the third demon refused to surrender. Throwing away his halberd, the fiend spread out his wings and soared into the air, his sharp claws seeking to strike at the Monkey King. The great sage was still hiding in the luminosity around the Buddha, and the fiend actually had no way of getting near him, though he would have liked very much to do so. Perceiving the rock's intentions, Tathagata faced the wind and gave his head, which had once supported the nests of magpies, a shake. The head changed at once into a piece of meat dripping with fresh blood. Stretching out his claws, the monster spirit drew near and tried to clutch at the piece of meat. Our Father Buddha pointed at him with his finger, and immediately the monster spirit felt such cramps throughout his huge wings that he could not fly away. All he could do was to hover over the Buddha's head in his true form, a golden-winged great rock. "Tathagata!" he cried. "Why did you exercise your mighty Dharma power to constrain me? Your wickedness," replied Tathagata, "has incurred for you a heavy debt of retribution in this place. Follow me, and you may acquire merit beneficial to you. But your place allows for only a strict vegetarian diet," said the monster spirit. "It's a condition of extreme poverty and hardship. I can enjoy human flesh here to my endless delight. If you starve and destroy me, you will have sinned too. In the 4 great continents of my domain," said Tathagata, "there are countless worshippers. I shall ask those who wish to do good to sacrifice first to your mouth." Since that great rock could neither flee nor escape, though he sorely wished to do so, he had no choice but to make submission. Only then did Pilgrim step out of the golden radiance to kowtow to Tathagata, saying, "Father Buddha, you have put away the monster spirits and eliminated great evils. But my master is gone." "Wretched ape," said the great rock through clenched teeth. "You had to find such a cruel fellow to constrain me. Since when did we devour that old priest of yours? He's still hidden in an iron chest at the Pavilion of Brocade Fragrance." When Pilgrim heard these words, he kowtowed hurriedly to thank the Buddhist patriarch, who had the rock firmly detained on top of his halo as a guardian. Then the entire entourage left on the clouds to return to the treasure monastery. Pilgrim lowered himself from the clouds and entered the city, where he could find not a single little fiend. So it was that a snake without head would not crawl. A bird without wings could not fly. When they saw that the fiend kings had made submission to the Buddhist patriarch, each of them fled for his life. Pilgrim released 8 rules and Sha monk and also found the luggage and the horse. "Master has not been eaten," he said to the 2 of them. "Follow me." He led his 2 brothers to the interior court and found the Pavilion of Brocade Fragrance. Opening the door, they located the iron chest, inside of which they could hear the sound of Tripitaka weeping. Wedging open the chest with his fiend-rooting staff, Sha monk called out, "Master." When he saw them, Tripitaka wailed aloud, "O disciples! How did you manage to subdue the demons? How did you find me here?" Thereupon Pilgrim gave a thorough rehearsal of what had taken place, from beginning to end, and Tripitaka was filled with gratitude. Master and disciples found some rice and foodstuff in the palace with which they prepared a meal for themselves. After they had eaten their fill, they packed up and set out once more on the main road toward the west. Thus it was that true scriptures must be by true people sought. Restless minds and raging wills will come to naught. We do not know when they will get to face Tathagata. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter.